Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight. I know I'm going to be competing a little bit against there's a Lions game. They're pretty good this year, as usual. And they're playing the Philadelphia Eagles, which I don't see. So we got this idea that we can get these recordings out there. So remember that. So this is the 1% Tribe for the Prize Inside podcast. The Prize Inside podcast you can find on anything, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere there's podcasting. We stream to those, which is really cool. That's like more of a recording though. And that'll be after this. And then we have a Rumble channel that we go live on. Facebook we go live on. YouTube we go live on. And the X we go live on. So we always hope that we can get there. If we're getting, I'm up to like 70 subscribers on Rumble. So I'd love us to get up there. So if you get a chance, if you're watching on Rumble, thumb, heart, get it up there. I think the stuff we do is pretty cool and knowledgeable. Tonight is going to be a fun one from one of my friends, Julie, that we had a good conversation the last couple of weeks. And then she brought it up in the chat that we should talk about some nettles. So nettles are one of those things that's essentially a weed to many parts of the world, but super prolific and has some major medicinal properties to it. So I would love us to get into that. So the herbal thing is so cool. It's so fascinating. There's going to be numerous amount of podcasts that we can do, and most of them I'm going to be learning with you, right? So as we go, we can understand the depths of what these are, nature's plants are just sitting out there, and what it can do for the innate intelligence of our human body, which will be amazing. So with that, I want to make sure I get you the Rumble channel. So we're going to stick that Rumble channel right in the chat. I'm going to do that real quick. Put that one in there. So that's the Prize Inside on Rumble. Okay. On YouTube, it's at the Prize Inside You, if you want to watch it on the old YouTube. Hopefully I'll get that going. I'm hearing that there's not as much censorship in the health and holistic world. So if we, happen to talk about like, vitamin D, C, and zinc and have to worry about getting censored for that, that's why Rumble is a really good alternative for making sure that doesn't happen. And then if you want to, and this is for my podcast people as well, tribe1.substack.com is a place where you can just sign up, give me your email address. And then once you do that, you'll get notifications of when we go live, because we go live Sunday night and Wednesday night. So Sunday night and Wednesday night. Sunday night is 1% Tribe. We talk about thoughts, toxins, trauma, different aspects. Tonight's an herbal for a nutrition aspect. On Wednesday night, we go over the health news. So we go over just the general topics, hot topics going in the mainstream and social media sphere. So those are all big ones. And then one more, I'm going to put the podcast in there if you like to listen. So there is all the stuff. That's all in the chats. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this very, very much. This one, nettles, I didn't know a lot about. And so we're going to learn a little bit together as we did this and put it together. And it was like, some cool stuff. I actually added a cool section at the end. Just make sure you stay or want to watch it, because how do you use it? There's some cool recipes at the end that make it pretty interesting. So that's what we're going to talk about. The stinging superfood, Nettle's secrets, powers. All right. So we're going to go from there. What are we going to learn about tonight is the stinging nettle and what it can do for you. Where does it fit into your 1% lifestyle, and how to use it and understand its role in our innate intelligence of our body, right? So what we want to do is give our innate intelligence the ability to heal itself. And the best way to do that is put things in it that have the most energy, you want as organic of material in your body as you possibly can. Okay, so let's go through the history of stinging nettles. I thought this would be a good starting point, so you can see it's been used for a long time. They think this is prehistory in the ancient. So this is 3000 BCE. Oh, okay, BC to 500 BC. All right, we're going to talk about that at some point. Bronze Age Europe. They used the nettle fibered shrouds. That was in the Scotland area. Egypt used it for a diuretic for joints. They used papyrus, and that is an interesting one. I didn't go into all of the history of it, but they would actually use it for wrappings on their joints as well. China, this is called Zunma. This was used for rheumatism. That was pretty cool. And then the classic era, I don't know where this BCE thing is. I'm behind on some interesting history there. I don't know why that showed up. Hippocrates had 44 different remedies for coughs and bites that they used nettles for. Hippocrates did. That's pretty awesome. The Romans used it, eutiocation for warmth. So, and then the praises seeds, and they had the seeds for asthma. You're leading down the path of the anti-inflammatory, right? So you should be. And then this one was pretty cool. The nettle beer. It was a spring tonic for the legions. Nettle beer. That was pretty cool. All right, so now we're going into the medieval times. The Celts, or the Germanics, they used it for cleansing. This person called Hildegard von Bingen was the nettles were used as a soup for gout, and a wine, a nettle wine for melancholy. The Anglo-Saxons, nettle and butter for arthritis. So that's coming, for that kind of situation. That's pretty interesting. More of a topical, I would guess. And then this other place of Avicenna stops the bleeding and kidney stones. So these are all various ways cultures have actually used the stinging nettle for medicinal purposes. So that's pretty cool. The Renaissance and early modern. This Culpeper used it for urine, worms, and women's health. So that was kind of interesting. Native Americans, the Cherokee tea for pregnancy. That's kind of interesting. Stinging nettles for pregnancy. And they used some of the nettles because of the texture of the stuff for fishing nets. And then the folklore times, St. John's Eve. Oh, yeah. So St. John's Eve flogging. So that flogging would actually be hitting a joint with a nettle to actually, I think that's it. I got to do some more history on that, because once I saw the flogging, it's like, okay, what does that mean? They use nettles for flogging and it felt good. So they just beat on each other and it improved your arthritis. Reminds me of that thing where, your right foot hurts. Let's just step on your left foot. So I don't know if that's exactly what kind of information we want to do, but that's how it goes. So here's industrial time and the war times. So in the 1800s, the German and the Scottish used it as textiles. It was called the poor man's linen. In World War I, British used it as a nettle soup, and they actually used it in uniforms. World War II, Germans used it as a dye, it looks like, and Russians would have it in a type of bread. So that's cool. 1970s. I'm sorry. 1980s. Let's go there. German approved arthritis. It became actually approved for arthritis and UTIs, urinary tract infections. Studies confirm the anti-inflammatory and diuretic, which is what we'll talk about tonight. And then now, 2025, it's in a lot of cosmetics, supplements, and now they're calling it a foraging superfood. So kind of like mullein. If you remember mullein when we talked about that, mullet's very, very plentiful and super powerful. And the nettles are actually that way. And so by having it like near you, understanding what the plant is. I didn't do that yet. I got to make sure I'll put that up there as we go tonight. Picture of, so you guys can see what it is. Okay. So what the plant looks like. So we will get a good shot of one. Okay, this one's pretty good. Let's see if I can go there and get a good shot. Okay. No, I don't want your ad. Okay, so what I'm going to do is share my screen real quick and show you guys what the stinging nettle plant looks like. So this is kind of a good image of it off of this Star Press article here. It's prickly. If you look at its actual the root the stem of it, it's very, very prickly little sucker. A lot of us don't like this. A lot of us like to chop this away. And once we go through this, it might be something you actually want to, harvest instead of that, because of, what it can actually do for us. So I just wanted to show you that. It's a green, got little tiny spikes on there. Can be not that fun to mess around with. So that's the big thing is like, but if we can have some kind of medicinal plant that's like growing in a field somewhere near you, that's pretty cool. You can forage it and actually create your own situation, create your own medicinal plant. So, okay. So how does it work? So how does this work? It's in the it's in the Urticaceae, the nettle family. Its genus is called Urtica duyaka. The plant type is a perennial herbaceous rhizomatous weed. Okay, sorry, I'm getting through all the stuff I don't understand yet. As even like saying herbal, I should learn a lot more of these. Active plant parts, though, this is important: the leaf, the root, the seeds, and the areoles. Okay, so the leaf, root, seeds, and the areoles. The phytochemical class, this is important to know. So the phytochemical is polyphenol rich, which is the flavonoids and the phenolic acid. So remember, flavonoids are just a really good, super powerful thing from plants. A lot of times it's very mineral dense and it's lectin containing. So that's going to be important in a little bit. So these are all the things that that actually stinging nettle has in them, when for our body, and what benefits we can get out of there. Anything with flavonoids, we want to make sure we have some of that. If you call it the modern drug class, would be called an herbal diuretic. Okay, so it's actually a diuretic, anti-inflammatory, anti-prostatitis, antihistamine, which is really, really good. That's a good panel of different classifications that it can do some things for you. Especially, it's very, very well known for the diuretic, especially. Okay. So this could be a nice diuretic for somebody, in that situation with swelling and, those kind of things. So remember that as we go. So how does it work? Continues. So how does it do? It's anti-inflammatory. It has ursolic acid, caffeic acid, and quercetin. Where have we heard quercetin before? It's a very, very good situation for quercetin allows what? If you guys remember from my 1% tribes, sometimes quercetin allows zinc to get into the cells, and it's a phenomenal thing, especially in the flu season, making sure that you take a little quercetin. Quinine and quercetin kind of do that. It allows that cells to take in that zinc that'll help that immune system function pretty well. And so there was a 2018 meta-analysis, and after 8 weeks of using stinging nettles, there was a 60% arthritic pain reduction, which is super cool. And then there's a few different recipes we'll go through. There's the urtication, which I think is literally flogging, which is kind of hilarious. I don't know if I'll give you that recipe. I don't want you beating your loved ones. But then Hildegard's gout soup was another one where Nettles is big into. So those are some recipes we'll go over later. It's a natural antihistamine, which this one is super in something big for me. It's one of those that it's hard to find things that are really good in the antihistamine category. And this is another one that you can use as a feather in your cap. Try it, see if it actually helps with the antihistamine action. It helps with reducing or regulating histamine. And then the flavonoids help stabilize everything. Remember, the immune system has a bunch of different types of cells. And this one, the stinging nettles stabilizes mast cells, which is cool. So they're saying that there's a spring tonic tea with nettles in it that can do a 58% improvement of hay fever over time, which is cool. And none of us, not even myself, have even thought about nettles. Like nettles doesn't even hit the radar half the time. And if it does, in my herbal world, this next one is where it actually, for me, we kept hearing it. It was the diuretic action. So the diuretic is because of the flavonoids and the potassium salts, it will increase your urine output. For those that don't know, diuretic is basically the process of getting rid of fluid off your body through urine, peeing. Okay. And sometimes you want to have a good have a good urination sequence going. You want the balance between the two, and a good natural diuretic allows your body to get rid of, the urine and the toxicities within the urine a little bit better. So sometimes before you have an issue, this will increase your urine output for sure. Okay. But it will help you not lose the electrolytes. So when you have to use a diuretic, as a chemical or a drug, a lot of times you're going to lose a ton of the electrolytes because it's such a forceful thing. With stinging nettle, it allows you to keep your electrolytes, but it increases your urine output, which is great. Right. So of course, don't replace any of this as your doctor. This, what we're doing is just information about the herb. I'm not going to tell you to take it or not. Right. This is between you and your doctor. If you're taking diuretic, be smart. Don't do anything crazy. This is not medical advice on it. We just want to learn about these different ones. And this one's a weed in our backyards all over the world. So this is good. So here's another really good one for the stinging nettle, though. Benign prostatic hyperplasia. Okay, so prostate enlargement. Okay, which is a big deal. And the way it does it is it's got these thing called lignans. Lignans is a very good, piece of it. And in the roots, there's a very big part for the prostate. So it decreases your PSA level. And it can do really, really good with, helping with the prostate issues. That's a very good herb to understand about. All right, here's some other things. This is what's so cool about learning about the different herbs is look how many we've already done. How many? We've got an anti-inflammatory, an antihistamine, a diuretic, and it's good for the prostate. Even if you don't know any of the other pieces, look at that. There's 4. And we're going to go through 3 more on just one plant. Okay. Nutrient repletion. So it has a lot of iron in it. It has a lot of vitamin K in it, some calcium, magnesium, and it can help with correcting anemia, which is kind of a big deal. Supports bone and hair growth. Great for postpartum stuff. And it's a famine food. It's one of those that people would have to do, in the times where there's not a lot of, food around. So nettle soup was the thing. Antioxidant and a detox. The antioxidant and the detox, chlorophyll and polyphenols are the major pieces of stinging nettles helping. And it helps bind. This one's pretty good. It helps bind heavy metals in vitro. That's kind of big. That's interesting. See, I'm learning stuff. I wrote it all up, copy and pasted where I could find, but I like learning it with you guys because this one might be up in my pathway of a lot of things, especially with antihistamine stuff. It's fantastic. Like to have anything that helps with, sinus issues and all those kind of things. And the final one is hair and scalp. It actually can increase hair shaft thickness. They actually have done shampoo studies on this. And that's interesting. And some people will actually rinse their hair with stinging nettle for the baldness aspect it's not, I don't think they're scientifically valid, like where it's going to regrow hair necessarily, but there's a possibility. So the best part of it is that stinging nettle is a multi-targeted herb it's a anti-inflammatory, antihistamine, diuretic, nutrient powerhouse with all that other stuff in there. And it's been used for 2,000 years. 2,000 years. So when you're looking at things, especially with something that has this much powerhouse, this is one that you really, really want to consider as we go forward. So let's talk to how we take it. One of the biggest things that you always know is like there's several different, especially me being new to the herbal, is everything is supplement in a pill form or powder or, those kind of things. No, not at all. There's the tea form. There's all of these things. In fact, sometimes the tea is almost different than the powdered form or the tincture form because of what it has in it. And so sometimes, like having a leafy tea or those kind of things where you're eating the whole plant, where you get all of those things, could be very worth your time. So just when you're looking at this, always look at the different aspects of those things, right? So how to take it. The dosage forms are a leaf tea. It's like 1 to 2 teaspoons dried in 8 ounces of water 3 times per day. Why so much tea? Almost nobody does and enjoys that, getting on there with a ton of tea, right? And the reason is because you have to get what they call a therapeutic dose. Many of these effects that I tell you about are great unless we don't get enough, okay? And so to get the therapeutic dose when you're taking tea of any nutritional herb, especially, you have to take a lot of it. Okay. So it's a lot more tea drinking than if you had to take like a supplement or a tincture. Okay. So the root extract, which would be more in the supplement area, you'd be in the 300 to 600 milligram range. Okay. So somewhere in there. And that's the level that they recommend for the benign prostate. We'll call it enlarged prostate. Okay. So about 300 to 600 milligrams of it. Freeze-dried leaf which is a lot of people use that for the allergies aspect. So remember how it has that histamine reaction or the antihistamine? This could be a really, really good way to do it. Okay. And then if you take a tincture, it's 2 to 4 milliliters 3 times a day. And so if you guys have been at our office, you'll see these little tincture bottles. Some people love me for them. Some people don't like them very much. Some of them don't taste great. So, but they work well. So that's one of the crazy parts of this whole herbals situation. So many interesting caveats here, and Nettles is going to be on my wheelhouse for all of this stuff. Okay. So safety considerations, we always have to say those. So safe for most adults. There's always going to be high risk. Watch heart, diuretics, all those things. Always ask your doctor, those kind of things. If you got some medical pills for this, like you're dealing with, make sure you ask, make sure you look it up. Use somebody when you take it. Don't just take it just because, right? Safe for most adults. Children over 2, they're like to make sure. I'm sure if you looked at it, it's really, really safe. But it's just to be safe, you go children over 2 years old. A lot of times it's topical use, so it's really good. Those kind of things for the arthritis action, which is pretty cool. We want to avoid it. Pretty much every herbal will have this on there. But avoid it if you're pregnant, edema from heart conditions, or if you're allergic to it. So some people are actually allergic to stinging nettles, which is kind of fascinating that it's a allergy response tool as well. Yeah, I wish I could tell you why the innate intelligence does the allergies. One of these days, there's such an overreaction to certain things in the world that some people are allergic to nettles. And it'd be interesting if like they get over it, if there's like if they took the tea, but I wouldn't suggest that probably. All right. So there's that. All right. So here's where it's going to get fun. So I've never done this one before. We've gone through herbs before tons of times, but I've never given you recipes. I've never given you the recipes to actually use it. So tonight it'll be like that. I think this will be pretty fun. And yeah, I think you guys will like it. So these are ones over time. They're not just new ones on TikTok or, those kind of things. These are like some old, really old recipes out there to try. See how it goes. Okay. All right. So this will be fun. So this one's a little more new. This is one of them TikTok ones. So this is a Nettle Green Goddess smoothie. All right. It's trending too. If you look up Nettle Talk, it's got 3.2 million views. That's kind of interesting. So you get 1 cup of blanched nettle with a 60-second boil, a half avocado, 1 banana, 1 cup almond milk, and 1 teaspoon of honey. You blend it for 30 seconds, and it is a huge anti-inflammatory boost, and it's got a ton of iron. When you add all those things up, that's really good. And it might do a little antihistamine in there as well. Dang, smoothies are like the best to go with most of the time. I was like, if you wanted to get into the herbal world the best and you're into smoothies, that's where I'd put them, because you can put so much other good stuff in there to make a flavorful action versus taking, herbs straight is a little rough, those kind of situations. But that's why I fell in love with the herbal world, because it was just, there's so many options out there. Literally in your food, you can have these things that are benefiting you. So, and when you're eating it or tea, the counterindications and all that stuff really go away, because it's such a natural form of almost any of that, right? So here's one that I thought was cool: a nettle pesto pizza. It's a viral flatbread. So this is a TikTok one. So there's 2 different. Oh, okay. So pizzas. Okay, so you take some pesto and you take 2 cups of blanched nettle, 1/3 cup of olive oil, 1/4 cup of walnuts, 1 garlic, a half a cup of Parmesan, and then you pulse that. And then you spread it on your pizza flatbread with a little mozzarella and some cherry tomatoes. Bake it for 425 for 10 minutes. Delish. That sounds amazing. And they're promoting it because what did Nettle say at the very end? It's really good for hair and skin, right? Or skin and all hair and skin. And so it's good for that. And maybe kids, you can get it down them by making it into a pesto situation. I don't think kids will be jumping at the street saying, here's your nettles. Can't wait to you do that. Especially when you go out in the backyard and it's a weed popping up everywhere. You see that little prickly weed that you grab every time you go into the woods somewhere. And it's probably really good for you, but who wants to mess with that, right? So that's pretty cool. All right, so here's a nettle latte. Okay, so this one's pretty cool. It's 1 teaspoon of dried nettle powder or a tea bag. Okay, so this one is just like that. 8 ounces of steamed oat milk, 1 teaspoon of maple, and a pinch of cinnamon. And then you frost and dust with matcha, and it's a natural antihistamine. And they're calling the nettle latte the allergy season hero. So that's kind of a cool tea. That sounds really good. When you add things like in matcha has some really good benefits as well. So you're talking almost everything in there is good for you. You got a nice fat with the oat milk. You got some good real sugar with your maple. And then, of course, cinnamon's a phenomenal anti-inflammatory by itself. So if that makes it taste delicious, then do it. Those are the kind of things that really start kickstarting the entire thing off, where it can be fantastic. I wasn't sure about this one, but I added it anyway. Nettle and sweet potato hash. This one sounds good. So the ingredients of this is 2 cups of blanched nettle, 2 diced sweet potatoes, 1 onion, and 4 eggs. You saw this bad boy for 15 minutes all together, and then you top it with a poached egg. Tons of vitamin K, and you add and a lot of good protein in that. And that one sounds really good. And of course, remember, like when they're doing these ones, if you look up stinging nettle and they give you recipes, remember, we went over 7 different things. 7 different things that could actually help you, feel better in some aspect. The 7 are always with that plant. They'll say, oh, it's an allergy season hero on that nettle latte. But remember, it's also an anti-inflammatory. It's also great for your prostate. So all of these things could be really, really good. In fact, once Julie brought this up, after researching it, I'm like, man, I'm going to be adding it into my diet in some way, shape, or form for sure. And it's one of those where you could just have fun with it. Here's one that was interesting. It's the Nettle hair growth rinse. It was in DIY Beauty. It was where they found this one. So it's Nettle hair growth rinse. So if anybody interested in trying it. So you steep a half a cup of dried nettles into 2 cups of boiling water for 20 minutes. Then you cool and strain. And then add, what's ACV? Hang on. All right. What is ACV? Oh, okay. So that's apple cider vinegar. Okay. So you do half a cup of dried nettles and boil it for 20 minutes. And then you add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And this is a post-shampoo rinse, post-shampoo rinse 2 to 3 times weekly. And it has shown that 2023 actually had a study that it increased hair density by 22% in 12 weeks. That is wild. That's really cool. Using nettles as the main caveat and the activating factor. And of course, Everything's linked to apple cider vinegar. I got to do one on that just to make sure people don't take too much of that. Anyway, but apple cider vinegar, that's interesting. Nettle hair growth rinse. Wow. So that's really good. So here's the last recipe of the night: nettle infused bone broth. This, my friends, is what I would suggest because of the benefits of the bone broth. Remember, not a powdered bone broth. Try to make your own slow cooked chicken. Get as organic of a chicken as you can. Start taking that, making a cup of that soup, that chicken broth that you made right there. Make it taste delicious. And it's so good for you. So nettle infused bone broth. They call it the immunity shot. The recipe, this is for 1 quart. Simmer chicken bones for 12 hours with 1 cup of dried nettle, carrot, and ginger. Strain, freeze in ice cube trays. 1 cube in hot water, instant soup. Collagen, which we all know bone broth, if you do that, you're adding your own collagen every single day. And it's also a cold and flu shield because of why? Because of the nettles being super anti-inflammatory, really good for your immune system, huge for antihistamine. Okay. So that was cool. All right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it tonight. Kind of a little secret nettles one out there. Hopefully it'll go viral or something. That'd be kind of cool. I was like, because I'm so good at the getting all viral on things like this. But what are we gonna do? Let's get some nettle into our homes. Let's get it through a nettle tea. I don't know. Yeah, there's a ton of ways. Let me look. There's a really good place I like to. I was just talking about. It's called. Okay. I'm just gonna make sure they have it. Okay, so typically go to your locals, right? Go to your local stores as much as you possibly can. And in my area, we got this nice place called Apple Valley. I use these guys down in Sturgis called Chups. They have a ton of stuff. But they're my Amish buddies down in the old Sturgis. Many different store. We have this one grocery store called Horrocks. Sometimes they have some amazing teas. So start there if you can, because the more natural you can get it, the better. And in your local area, I'm guessing, this is just me guessing, it would be probably better if it's grown in the earth that's around us. So the more local, you're probably going to get more benefit out of it, right? But I'm going to show you this one that I really, really enjoy. When I started learning about herbals in general from Dr. Low Dog. This is called Mountain Rose Herbs. Okay. So Mountain Rose Herbs is a place that herbalists go, all of these things. Mountain Rose Herbs, remember them. I'll actually put I can copy that and put that in the chat because it's worth doing. They have so many herbs. They have tinctures, capsules, teas. Let's actually look up if they have it. Let's make my little search button. Nettle leaf organic right there. So if you wanted to just go straight leaf, you can get it for, that's how much is a 1 pound bag? $25 for a 1 pound bag. Or so that's not bad. That's a lot of tea. That's a lot of tea. But 4 ounces, it's $8, right? So nettles is a pretty fascinating piece. There's tons of different teas that you can look up. And so just kind of watch that as you go. Mountain Rose Herbs, phenomenal. Hopefully one day I'll get a connection with them for the bigger stuff because some people need, and that's one like a wholesale supply type situation. There's supplements all over the place. The other thing is just remember this thing. I got this. It's called Full Script. If you look here, I'll put that in well, I don't know if I can put that in the link. Let me see. I'll put that in the chat as well. Hang on. So there's a few different ones. My advice on all those supplements is try to go as local as you can. Even at our office, you could actually, if you have one, we can actually do the ordering for you and you just pick it up or whatever. So that's a big thing as well. But try them. My hope is that you guys enjoyed the having the recipes on the back end. So you go subscribe and then you can re-listen to them. But that's pretty cool. What I'm thinking is if you get on my tribe1.substack.com, it's an email version, or it's the email list. I'll put out those recipes that you can. I'll just kind of get what I had in the presentation and then put them in an email form, so you always have them as well. So just remember those two as we go. And we all are going to. I want to thank you for showing up tonight. It's pretty awesome. Like usual, I'm getting up to I got 4,000 downloads on podcasting, which is fantastic. I want to keep going. I'm slightly addicted to this. As you can see, it's one of those that I just enjoy, this kind of information. And when I get to meet people that have listened to it and get to we have good conversation later. And Julie, I want to thank her especially because she's the one that brought up this herb. So if you have something and you want me to do the research on it and we can talk about it tonight and we can dive deeper, let me know, because a lot of times there's some really good stuff out there. We just want to know all the information, right? And so anything in health, if you can help others at all times, you're going to just be better off. And I get to learn it each time somebody brings it up. Like right now, stinging nettles blows my mind in the amount of medicinal properties it has, and that it's so taken for granted. It's so taken for granted because it grows all over the place. And it's probably one of the more annoying weeds, not just a weed. It's one of the more annoying ones because every time you go to grab it, it has little tiny stingers on there. So with that said, you guys have a great week, and I'll see you Wednesday night for Whole Health Wednesday, where we go over some topics of various different ones. And we'll just have a blast doing it. So with that said, go Lions and have a great night.